I'm David Grayson. I'm one of the editors of Cranfield on Corporate Sustainability. Our attempt to involve 30 different faculty and doctoral students and associates of the School of Management in interpreting what sustainability means for their particular management discipline. I'm talking to Andrew Kakabadse, who's my co-author, in fact, on the chapter on board oversight and governance of corporate sustainability. Andrew, in your experience, are boards taking these issues seriously yet?
Yes, they are. Board oversight has been here for a long time. As we said in our chapter, Cadbury was a very important landmark. The successive number of reports are highlighting board inadequacies, and to be honest with you, most boards do not wish to be identified as inappropriate, incapable or incompetent. So they are taking these issues seriously. I think the fundamental question between us, David, is whether board oversight is the only issue that boards should be taking seriously. And I think we're beginning to learn that it's board oversight and protocols plus. And the question is, what is that plus?
And that plus is also testing the temperature of the organisation, seeing how far the organisational culture is yet really understanding what sustainability means for the business?
It is all that, and you're undoubtedly right about one thing, it's reach. How far does the board reach into the organisation without necessarily upsetting management, without undermining management, or without becoming part of management? And many boards who are too concerned with protocols and procedures often become part of the management and undermine the management. So it's how you form a relationship with management so that you can determine what is strategy and operations versus what is governance. And that, I believe, is a skill in itself.
And in that sense, those are exactly the same questions for any part of how the board does its job, and sustainability is not somehow something which is strange and out there and different. It is one aspect of how the board is doing its job effectively and getting the right relationship with management and the rest of the organisation.
Absolutely, absolutely. The biggest question boards face today is how they add value to the business. That of itself, that question, looks as if they're working in partnership with business. No, that's not the value proposition for boards. Boards can add value to the business by governing the business. So they really do provide that clever oversight. But oversight on its own and holding people to account coldly is a demotivating experience. So oversight with stewardship, oversight with sensitivity, oversight with understanding is fundamental. Now, once you build those two components in, then the critical issues that have been neglected over the last decade or so, which has been more the corporate responsibility and sustainability issues, now become absolutely critical. And it's those issues, because those issues don't just require a tick box mentality and a procedure for doing things. You really need to know how far management have digested those issues and made sustainability part of their everyday working life. So once the mentoring of management by the board begins to be taken seriously, sustainability becomes a critical part of the agenda.
And that implies any new skills for non-executive directors of the future, or does it require some honing of the course existing skills of directors?
Technically, it should not require new skills, because if you look at the whole theory of boards and governance, then monitoring relationship, the governance stewardship relationship, was being discussed in the 1890s and the 1920s. But unfortunately, what's happened through legislation and government reports is that there has been an over-concentration on the protocol side, on the processes and procedures side. So many board directors have become much more accustomed to systems way of working, as opposed to the leadership of the culture, the shaping of the culture, the shaping of mindsets. So it's interesting, technically there should not be new skills, but what we're really seeing is that new skills are now being called for because they've simply been neglected. And it's that neglect that is coming to the surface now.
So it's really rediscovering some old skills.
It is.
For 21st century.
It really is.
And it's about a pendulum shift rather than something which is the either or, back towards also understanding how sustainability is going to create more pressure on you to understand the risks and the opportunities associated with the organisation on whose board you share.
Absolutely.
you sit.
Absolutely. And in that sense, the training and development of directors, what is their position on this board? What is their mandate that they have? Mandates change. Is that discussed? The remuneration of directors. Board directorship is now a very responsible role. And certainly some of the research that's beginning to emerge is that more than 4 or 5 board directorships, and you are now dysfunctional. You're not providing value. So it's not uncommon to find across the world individuals who have 15, 20, 25. I've seen 45 board directorships running concurrently. And interestingly enough, it's only the Australians that have really made it on paper and have stated that you are now a liability at 5 directorships or more. So what we're seeing really is training, development, mandate, clarity of thinking, role on the board, and board dynamics all coming together, and especially for issues of sustainability, where it's at times difficult to define what do we mean by sustainability. And sustainability in reality is a case-by-case definition. Each board, each company would have a different perspective on this, quite rightly. So when you get these more sophisticated skills, you've now laid the basis for sustainability practice.
And in practice, therefore, what we're talking about is both the governance of responsibility as well as the responsibility of governance.
Absolutely.
Andrew, thank you very much indeed.
It's my pleasure.